the what are the real problems of life? The real problems is all about education, all about economic development. So what are the real problems of life? If you see, the real problems are not the economic development or the education or building massive structures or purchasing castles or gaining the opulence. So or power, fame. So Labha, Puja, Pratishta. Labha means wealth. Puja means you want to be respected. That is a position. Pratishta means fame. Yeah. So these are all not the real problems of life. The real problems of life are birth. So we are taking birth repeatedly, millions of times, unknowingly the truth of life, the absolute truth. Similarly, birth, death, old age, disease. Old age and disease are inseparable. So when you get the age 40, when you get the white hair, that means the death notice is given already. When somebody is born, the death certificate is already there, but we don't realize it. So these are the real problems of life, that is the birth, death, old age, and disease. A soul or a jiva is bound to suffer by three kleshas. Klesha means misery, suffering. So one is one's own body and mind. That is called Ajatmika Klesha. Ajatmika Klesha means your own body and mind will be, I mean, the suffering will be due to your illness of your body. That is a physical illness or a mental illness. So you'll be struggling. There will be a combustion in the heart always. So mind says, I mean, sometimes it accepts, sometimes it rejects. So sometimes it says, you're my friend, sometimes so it denies. Similarly, suffering due to other living entities. Adi Bhautika Klesha. Other living entities means like, for example, even the animals and other things. Even a very small mosquito, you are completely, because of the threat of this small mosquito, you are having a defense or a fencing all your home with mosquito nets. What to speak of other living entities? A lot of wild creatures. And natural disturbances. You have seen the day before yesterday, Newark, so it is completely devastated South India. So these natural disturbances is nothing but Adi Daivika Klesha. Adi Daivika Klesha means these are the famine or the floods and all these, I mean, tornadoes, all these things are weapons of the demigods. So they release Sivajvara, Narayana Jvara, like these weapons they'll be releasing. So that will cause the suffering of the jivas. So these are the three types of suffering you can see. One is Adi Bhautika Klesha, that is Adi Bhautika Klesha is suffering due to other living entity. Adi Daivika Klesha means suffering due to natural disturbances. That means it is higher beings like Devatas and all, they'll be basically using their weapons to cause suffering, because we are ungrateful, we are receiving everything. We are using the credit cards without repaying it. And suffering due to our own body and mind, that is Adi uh, Ajatmika Klesha. So, so that's what I conveyed to you. This birth, death, old age, and disease cannot be solved by good relations or power or wealth or any other form of economic development. Now, so this is how, this is the process by which we acquire knowledge. So we have some impressions you can see here. So this brain, we are having some impressions. This is the storehouse of the impressions in many lives. So naturally, when you see something, you'll be logically, this is prachaksha. That means you are seeing with direct perception. And you are referring to something and you are analyzing. That is called logical inference. Prachaksha is there here. Logical inference is there. Anumana is there. So here, everything you are perceiving with your limited senses, with your limited sphere, and your you are encaged in a limited sphere. With that perceptions, you are trying to analyze the world. Now, but the problem is the Vedic knowledge is not given by humans. It is apaurusaya. Apaurusaya means it is given by divine force, or I mean, it is given by a perfect super soul. So that is what exactly is all about Vedic knowledge. Vedic knowledge is not man-made, or it is not coming born out of the human mind. It is coming, it is given by the absolute truth. It is given by the Almighty. This is what one has to realize. That's why this knowledge is perfect. It is a descending process. Descending process means it comes from disciplic succession, one guru to another. So perfect souls or perfected souls, they'll be disseminating this knowledge. So this Vedic knowledge is of two types, like one is Shruti, the other one is Smriti Shastra. So Shruti Shastras is completely given by the Almighty itself. Smriti means the perfected souls they have given. Perfected souls means, for example, Veda Vyasa Maharshi, Narada Maharshi. So they are the perfected souls, Lord Brahma. So they are the perfected souls. Different acharyas, they are the perfected souls. So if you see these Vedas, so Vedas, the Shrutis, Vedas means Dhanurveda, Ayurveda, and Vedangas means, so this is how the basics of these are the basic things where how you can understand the Vedic knowledge, ritual details, pronunciation, grammar, etymology, and Jyotish Shastra and everything. Similarly, Vedas are further classified as Samhitas. The Samhitas contains, in the earlier session, I have quoted Brahma Samhita. These are the mantras. So everything is encapsulated in a mantra. Similarly, the ritual explanation of the mantras is Brahmanas, and Aranyakas is esoteric explanation of mantras, and Upanishads is the fruit. These are the Jnanakanda. So similarly, we have a Smriti Shastra. This is the humans only, but the perfected souls have given this Smriti Shastra. So Shruti means hearing. So the heard knowledge is further given. That is what is Smriti. So these are tantras. Are there. Vedanta Darshan by Vyasa Maharshi, Mimamsa by Gemini, Nyaya Shastra by Gautam Muni, Vaiseshika by Kannada, and Patanjali Yoga and Sankhya Shastra by Kapila Maharshi. So this is how the Vedic knowledge, this is the perfect knowledge, so has been given. I mean, it is beyond our human conception, this knowledge. So this knowledge should be accepted or with humbly or submissively. Now, so what is the purpose of this Vedic knowledge? So usually you are situated in this material energy, material world, which is made up of, we'll see the construction of the elements, 24 elements. And usually what we do, we are absorbed in newspapers, magazines, gadgets, so, and other things. Yeah. And if you refer to this Shastra, Vedic knowledge, naturally, these Puranas and other things, if you cultivate these things, naturally, this is the test. The time of death is the test. So the whole life you are preparing so for to face death usually. So at the death, what you remember, that life, that type of birth, so in which guna you are situated in. So in that body, in that particular location, you are going to be born. So that is the reason why. So one's absorption is very important. So the absorption is in Vedic knowledge, naturally at the end of the life, you can remember Lord. But unfortunately, even after 60, 65 years also, so, and people are just worrying about economic development and to support the children and themselves, unfortunately. So today, old age people are highly neglected and they don't have space to do spiritual practice, unfortunately. So there is a great need to support such old people so that they can be very pious and they can be very peaceful. Now, so what are these Vedas? So these Vedas basically gives everything. It satisfies all your desires from Karma Kanda to Jnana Kanda to Upasana Kanda. Karma Kanda means whatever desires you have, whatever desires, these all will be fulfilled, but it cannot be fulfilled by any means unless you perform some rituals as per the Shastric vision or Shastric injunction. So that is what is Karma Kanda. So once the Jiva is vexed with Karma Kanda, he is not satisfied. So then he attains knowledge. That is Jnana Kanda. So you can see the Jnana Kanda here. That is philosophical knowledge. Then he understands he is different from his body. He is a soul. He is an Atma. And the Atma is permanent. The soul is permanent. And material body is temporary. And material world is temporary. But soul is permanent. So he understands these things. That is what is Jnana Kanda. So he'll be attaining the sattvic state. So after that, once he is very good at Jnana Kanda, then Upasana Kanda, then really he understands and he worships the absolute truth. So, and or else simply if he performs the Karma Kanda, what happens? So he'll be enjoying the sense gratification. So Indriya Bhoga, he'll be satisfying all the Indriyas all the time. And so such fruitive activities will lead to good birth, heavenly planets, power, and other things, other heavenly pleasures. Now, here we are basically this material world is imprisoned with three things. One is Sattva Guna. So some people, they're happy because they have knowledge. So they are bound by knowledge. So they are basically, they are tied with knowledge. So, and they feel somewhat a sense of peacefulness. So that means they're also bound by, are imprisoned by Sattva Guna. So, and some people, passion means it is a greed ultimately. So all the time, and you'll be working all the time and you'll become very greedy and you'll never be satisfied. That is what is Rajoguna is. And Tamoguna is damn ignorance. Even they don't know what is good also. It is completely destructive nature. So because of these gunas, what happens? He'll be engaging in all these fruitive activities and naturally, so there'll be an action and reaction for that. He'll be enjoying or he'll be suffering. So these Karma Kanda division of the Vedas are basically arranged to gradually elevate the soul from material platform to spiritual platform or transcendental platform or Daivic platform. So because the Lord is very compassionate, he has given the Vedas, because why the Lord is compassionate? Because he could not see the suffering souls. So his children are very much suffering with cycle of birth and death. So he sends these Vedas. So, and these Vedas will make you realize, so the transcendental position of the Lord and yours. What is a dense forest? So this particular fruitive activities is a dense forest. It will be delusion, because whatever you attain, it will never satisfy you, and it is temporary. And your body is also temporary, material world is also temporary. Anything in this world is temporary. That is the nature, that is how it is built in. So the purpose, this is actually many souls or many people are what they feel is Vedas means it is just, I mean, it is a Kamadhenu, like whatever I aspire and I request or by prayer, it will be satisfying. So this Karma Kanda division will give only fruitive activities. But this fruitive activities will always make you to be here in the birth and death cycle. That means in this Brahmanda, in this 14 lokas, in various species, you'll be moving. But actual purpose of Vedas is to understand the difference between body and soul, and to understand the purpose of life, and to attain moksha, that is the liberating from these material pangs of life. Yeah. So if one performs an activity not in relation with the Lord, that means he is doing his activity for himself. So there will be 4 stages of the karma will be resulting in 4 stages. One is bija, kuta, prarabdha, and aprarabdha. So, and that leads to suffering. So this is the ignorance. The ignorance is what? because the ignorance of his true nature, his eternal position, his constitutional position, his real position in the Vaikuntha Dham, and the relation between soul and super soul, the jiva and super soul, he is unaware, unfortunately. That is the reason why he is suffering with these reactions. So by means of his activity, these are the kleshas. So this avidya, the ignorance, is the root cause. What it will do? It will make, there is a bija means what? Desires, material desires. For example, you see small children, they see some object like mobile phone and all, they want to I mean, acquire it. Similarly, adults, they're big children, so naturally they'll be fascinated by a car or a house or something else. So naturally there is the vasanas, and naturally to attain that they do all sinful reactions. They have to hurt others, they have to exploit others, they have to manipulate others. So many things. They have to be untruthful, dishonest, and naturally they'll be suffering. What is the suffering? Birth, death, old age, this is the suffering. And there are other types of suffering are there. Already I conveyed to you Adhyatmika Klesha, Adi Bhautik Klesha, and Adi Daivika Klesha. Now, so this is the cause of misery. So soul is generally free from suffering, and the body is the seat for suffering. So, and the soul is intimating with the body, and the illusion is, there is illusion because the soul is not having the right knowledge, the absolute knowledge, or the transcendental knowledge, like Divya Jnana. Yeah. Again, you can see how the soul is entrapped. There is ignorance. The ignorance gives a conception I. What is this I? I means this body is mine. But the body is changing. He is not realizing. So, and this is the root. You can see here the tree is there. This is the root is ignorance. And to the ignorance, he feels false ego is developed. That means I is at the center. Next, raga and dvesha. So he'll be attaching. So it is mine. These are mine. So raga and dvesha will be developed. And that fear also is there. What is the fear? This body may dissolve. Pralaya may come to this body. And whatever I acquired, it may be lost. So he'll be gripped with fear all the time. So, and now, so this is all about how the material activities, the soul is absorbed from dawn to dusk. So 20, 30, 40, 50 years till death. So without understanding what is life, what is true life. Yeah. So this is what exactly happens. So the uh, the ignorance of the soul, ignorant about the real knowledge. So it will make him to lead a sinful life, and that sinful life will drag him into the material existence in the birth cycle, birth death cycle. So in the human form, for example, what is the distinguishing function between animals and humans? Eating, mating, sleeping, and defending. They're all there for animals also. The distinguishing function is intelligence. You can think, you can speak, you can understand, but that function is not there for in other species. So these Vedas will basically help you to escape from this suffering and also from this material body. So gradually, so towards the real father, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Now, so a soul or a jiva or a human being is expected to understand. So there are 8.4 or 84 lakh species are there. 9 lakh are aquatics, earlier also conveyed, and plants, similarly, insects, birds, beasts, human beings. Total human beings are 4 lakh. So total it constitutes 8.4 million species. So one may get birth anywhere uh, as per the activities. For example, human body is not given to sleep for 10 hours or 12 hours or 14 hours. And for example, if you take a python, it will sleep for a long time, 20 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. So for example, if you take a human body, if you sleep more, next life you'll be getting a python body. And you know, a human body you should be very dignified, and you cannot jump from one branch to another branch. So if you are acting like very, like a monkey, in next life you'll get a monkey body. For example, if you're hurting others all the time, you'll be getting a lion body or a tiger body. So it depends on the nature. The human body is not to do all these things, actually. So according to the nature, you should be very careful in your activities because you are going to develop another species. It may be aquatics, plants, insects, or birds, or, and so on. Now, you have different types of schools actually. So different acharyas, I'm not going to take up this one. I'm just giving you a glance like uh, Shankaracharya, basically, he has given his commentary on Saririka Bhashya, and similarly, Sri Bhashya is given by Ramanujacharya, and Madhvacharya is the basically Dvaita school. Similarly, Vallabhacharya is the Suddhaitvaita school. So Nimbarkacharya. So who are these and all? We'll deal in the following, lectures or sessions. Similarly, Baladev Vidyabhushana, he has given on Govinda Bhashya. So these are all Smriti Shastra. These are all Smriti. So the perfected souls, they are free from imperfect sense. See, these perfected souls, the Acharyas, they are perfect. They don't have imperfect senses like us. They never commit mistakes and they never be illusion. But we have a cheating tendency. A conditioned soul is having these four tendencies. But the Vedas are Shruti or Smriti Shastra, who has given, they are very perfected. Actually, Lord himself, Lord Krishna himself, he has given the Bhagavad Gita knowledge so to Arjuna, and also he has given this knowledge to the Lord Brahma also. Okay, as we know Bhagavad Gita, we know only Bhagavad Gita, but he has given knowledge to Sun God Vivaswan also. He has given to Lord Brahma and many. Well, so you may ask a question like, I open my one post box. I design one post box. I'll put a letter. It will go or not? It will not go because it is not authorized by our postal department. Similarly, if you create one vidhi, puja vidhi, and if you do the puja, it will not go because everything should be within the sampradaya. There are these 5 sampradayas are there: Brahma Sampradaya, Lakshmi Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Kumar Sampradaya, and Shankar Sampradaya. So these are the 5 sampradayas one should be in. So if you open a post box and actually if you, it won't give any result. Some result you may get, so some self satisfaction, but it will not give proper effect because these sampradayas, the energy or the power or the knowledge, the perfect knowledge is descending. So this about these sampradayas will be dealing in the later sessions. So just I'm outlining today. Now, so earlier session also I conveyed the dharma of the soul. So with the Swarupa and all, so with the constitutional position, with the eternal position, he has to serve the Lord. So earlier also conveyed. So fire, what is the property of a fire? It is produces heat, light, and heat and light. Similarly, the sugar, it gives sweetness. And if you take a bitter gourd, it gives bitterness. That is the property. Similarly, the property of the living entity is to serve. So here, for example, service you cannot avoid here or anywhere, material world or spiritual world. For example, a husband is serving the children, and husband is served by somebody else. So, and similarly, that service, you can see everything is service. If you see, the president serves the country, and these are all service only ultimately. So what you want to serve? You want to serve the temporary or you want to serve the permanent? That is the question actually. Well, yeah. So there is a demigod worship, devatas. Some people will be worshipping devatas. So this devata worship definitely will give temporary results, but it will not give permanent results. The reason is when you see Nimitta Pralaya, that means Bhu, Bhuvar, and Svargaloka will be dissolved. When Svargaloka is dissolved, in the partial annihilation or partial Pralaya, these Devatas also will be. Devatas and all is a position. Sun God is a position. Moon God is a position. A Jiva is empowered to take the position of this. So the demigod worship is done by less intelligent people. When the intelligence is stolen by material desires, okay, if you want to have something, then you surrender to demigods and you do the ritual and you'll be getting a benefit. There is no doubt if you do it properly, if you are pure enough, then definitely your desire will be fulfilled. But those are temporary. So intelligent souls, they generally, they want to go out of this mortal world. Well, so let us understand today, like in the last session, I've discussed about the Goloka planet, and the Krishna expands to Baladeva, and Baladeva is Balaram is expanded to first quadruple expansion. So from the first quadruple expansion, that is from the Sankarshana, you got Mahavishnu, and Mahavishnu expanded as again, second quadruple expansion, and Mahasankarshana expanded as Karnodasai Vishnu and Sadasiva. This is what we have learned, or we have understood in the previous session. So this is what exactly you have learned. Goloka is the topmost planet, and these are all Vaikuntha planets where Narayana expansions are there. And here we have a Sadasiva Loka, and here this is a Virja river, and here this is Karnodasai Vishnu, who Sankarshana has expanded as Karnodasai Vishnu and Sadasiva. This is the Virja river. The importance of Virja river is when the soul is perfected his life, he'll be getting the spiritual body once he is dipped in, once he is crossing the Virja river. So the identity, the eternal identity in this lokas, with what Swarupa is having, the Swarupa Siddhi he'll be getting from this Virja river actually. So now let us move forward. So this is what is about the Vaikuntha Loka. Earlier also you have seen. So how the Vaikuntha Loka looks. So Vaikuntha Loka is not a small space. You have, everybody is having big castles and a lot of Vaikuntha aeroplanes and spiritual bodies. There is no misery. Vaikuntha. So Vaikuntha means, Kunta means misery. Vaikuntha means absolutely there is no misery. So this is how the Lord is served and surrounded by his eternal associates. Yeah, these are the different Vaikuntha planets already you have seen in the earlier session. So you can see how different in the 24 expansions are coming from the Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu expanded a second quadruple expansion, Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and these been further expanded to 24 Vishnus. Yeah. Now, let us continue from here. In the last session, I have stopped here. So let's resume that. So in the Vayu Purana, it is said, the reference is Vayu Purana. So Lord Shiva, so is direct expansion of Sankarshan. So who is Sankarshan? Mahavishnu expanded as quadruple expansion. You can see here, this is a quadruple expansion. So what is the quadruple expansion? Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. So the Sankarshan expands as Sadasiva. So Sadasiva is nothing but Lord Vishnu himself. Is Lord Vishnu himself. And basically, Sadasiva, the mood is always like the mood is to serve the Lord actually. He is the prototype basically in the Sadasiva Loka. Now, the Sankarshana also expanded as Garbhodasai Vishnu. This Garbhodasai Vishnu from left hand, so Lord Brahma appears. This Lord Brahma is the prototype again. So in the individual, you have to understand this carefully. In the individual universes, that Brahma is a Jiva. In the whole, in that planet, you can say in that universe, the Jiva with the highest pious credit will be given as a Brahma post. But this Brahma is basically a prototype, is actual Brahma. He is different. He is not Jiva Tattva. He is Vishnu Tattva only. Well, now again from left limb, from the right limb, from right limb, Lord Brahma appears, and from the left limb, Sirodasai Vishnu appears. So this Sirodasai Vishnu is the soul Paramatma in all the living entities, including other animals. So where he resides in basically in every, he expands in every universe. In every universe, there is a Svetadipa here in the Dhruvaloka, and he'll be residing here. So all the three, Lord Brahma appears from right limb, and from left limb, so Sirodasai Vishnu appears, and Lord Shiva appears from his forehead, glance, I mean to say from the glance of Vishnu. So this is what exactly from Garbhodasai Vishnu, Sirodasai Vishnu is a Paramatma, so he appeared. So this is what exactly we have seen so far. So Balram is the first quadruple expansion, from Narayana the second quadruple expansion, and from Sankarshana, Karnodasai Vishnu and Sadasiva. Here it is not given, it is Sadasiva. And from Mahavishnu, that is Karnodasai Vishnu, these Vishnus will not be in the spiritual world. It will be in the material, I mean outside the spiritual world, Vishnu forms. This Karnodasai Vishnu basically expands as Garbhodasai Vishnu in every universe. That we'll see in the next session. Now, let us see how Lord Shiva and Goddess Durga are father and mother. Everybody says here Adisekti. Okay, from Adisekti only everything appears. That is true, actually. Let us see how it is. Yeah. So is the Karnodasai Vishnu who has appeared or who has expanded from Lord Sankarshana. He is glancing. You can see there is a glance. From the glance, this glance is carried by Ramadevi, who is the consort of Mahavishnu. So, and Ramadevi, how she has come? She has come from the Mother Lakshmi of Vaikunta expanded, and Mother, Durga basically is reflected from the Ramadevi. So this is the glance. The glance is carried by Ramadevi, and from another glance, Shambhu is formed. So this is the Shambhu, Lord Shiva. So this Lord Shiva is having connection with material world. So here the point is the Sadashiva is not having any connection with the material world. He is a pure Vishnu Tattva. But here this is Shiva Tattva. Shambhu is Shiva Tattva. What is Shiva Tattva? You can see here. There is a milk here. The milk is transformed into curd. But curd is also a milk, but is a transformed. Same thing. So the milk is nothing but Vishnu and Shiva is nothing but so Shiram yadada vikara vishesha yoga sanjayate nahi tata prudagasti heto ya shambhutam api tada samupecha karya govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. It is said in the Brahma Samhita. So the same thing, how the Shambhu has formed from Mahavishnu. So similarly, the glance of Mahavishnu, so Shambhu is created. This Shambhu is responsible for the creation, the material creation, and he is also in charge of, he is called Tamasi. He is the in charge of mode of goodness. So now, this is what exactly happened. So this Mahavishnu glances Ramadevi and the reflection is Mahadevi, and Lord is not having any contact with the material world. Yeah. Similarly, here also, so the goddess Kali, the Mother Durga basically unites with Lord Shiva and starts create. So one is Purusha. Purusha is the Lord Shiva, and Prakriti is Goddess Kali or Mother Parvati. So the union leads to, she is also called Mahamaya. So Yogamaya is, who is Yogamaya? Yogamaya is internal potency of the Lord, that is Rama Devi or Radharani or Lakshmi Devi or Bhudevi or Neela Devi. That is Yoga, that is internal potency of Lord, that is called Yogamaya. So from Yogamaya Rama Devi, so the goddess Durga appears, she is called Mahamaya. So she is the one in charge of the every material world. So material world in charge is Mother Durga. So that is the reason why we do Navaratris. So Navaratri also there is a lot of significance. Yeah, well. So because of the union of the Purusha and Prakriti, so the Pradhan means all the 24 elements. Pradhan means all the 24 elements are in unmanifested form. So from Pradhan, because of the glance of the Pradhan, so how the creation starts is the Lord Shiva or Shambhu invokes the Kala. Kala means present, past, and future, the time energy. So then the Pradhan gets invoked. So then Pradhan converted into Mahatattva. That means separation of elements. So let us see. So these, what is the Prakriti? This is the Purusha, and where Pradhan is in unmanifested form, it is converted into Mahat. So Mahat, from Mahatattva, Ahankara is produced. Ahankara is having three features: Sattva, Rajas, and Tamaguna. So let us see how these are formed. So this is Purusha, and this is Prakriti, and Mahatattva is formed. This Mahatattva is having three gunas. What are the three gunas? Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic Ahankara. So let us see how other objects are formed. From Sattvic Ahankar, so mind is formed, and Tamasic Ahankar, so Tanmatras are formed. Let us see here. So from the mind, sense organs, that is Karmendriyas and Jnanandriyas are formed. So we'll see all these things. So these are the karmendriyas. So speaking, grasping, walking, excreting, procreating. So you have legs, hands, tongue, everything. They're all action organs. So these are the sense organs: hearing, sensation, vision, taste, and smell. These are the sense organs. So the ahankara, basically, from the sattvic ahankar, you got three things. What are the three things? So mind, karmendriyas, and jnanendriyas. So I'll show you the flow chart, the next slide. So from these Mahabhutas means earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So tanmatras means the sense objects, that is sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. So these are the five elements. They are the Mahabhutas. We are aware. So this is how you can understand the whole thing here. The Purusha and Prakriti, the Pradhan is invoked, and the Pradhan is converted into Mahatattva. And Mahatattva is, the first element is Ahankara. From Ahankara, there are three types. So one is Tamasik Ahankara, Sattvic Ahankara, and Rajasic Ahankara. Tamasik Ahankara, 11 elements are formed. What are the 11 elements? 5 subtle elements, that is sound, touch, form, all these things. And Mahabhutas are air, the Panchabhutas. And mind. These are the 11 elements. This is the mind. So next, from Sattvic Ahankar, from Sattvic Ahankar, these 11 elements are formed. From Tamasic Ahankar, you got these 10 elements. So let us see this. So from Sattvic Ahankar, you got mind, Jnanendriyas, and Karmendriyas. And from Tamoguna, you got Mahabhutas and Tanmantras, the 10. So 10 are formed from Tamoguna and 11 are formed from Sattoguna. So you can see from either, so sound is produced, from air, touch. Similarly, from Agni, form is produced, from Jal, taste is produced, and from Prithvi, Gandha, smell is produced. These are very, very interesting because the pralaya of the body or the pralaya of this universe, how they are withdrawing is very, very interesting. Yeah. So, for example, if you see the ether element, there will be only sound. For example, air. Air has two properties. What are those? Sound and touch. If you take the fire, it has three properties. It has sound. You can see the fire. There is a sound. There is a touch, and there is a form also. But air is not having form, but fire is having form. Similarly, water. But fire is not having taste, but here extra element taste is coming. So it is having sound. Water is having sound, touch, form, and taste. And earth is having all the features. And there is another feature called Gandha, smell. Water is not having smell. The pure water is not having smell. So this is the composition of the gross elements. Now, so these are the 24 elements being created. Why these 24 elements are created? To trap the jiva so that you can feel that, so it is mine. Ahankara. Ahankara means what? This is mine. See, with all these, the field of activities, that means with all these jnanendriyas, karmendriyas, there is knowledge acquiring senses, and objects, sense objects, tanmantras, mahabhutas, everything, you definitely, there is a field of activity. So it causes happiness or distress. And definitely the body, because of this, the body, you take birth, it grows, stays for some time, decays and vanishes. This is the field of activities. So that first of all, the time is invoked, then false ego, ahankara. So, and naturally the self, once the ahankara is developed, he knows there is a death, there will be a cause of fear. So the fear element is created because of the manifestation of this kala and false ego. Now, these are the 24 tattvas of evolution of nature. So 5 jnanendriyas, 5 karmendriyas, tanmatras, so, and mahabhutas. So, and prakriti, buddhi, aham, and manas. These are the 24 elements. So this is how. So with these 24 elements and super soul, your body is constituted. There is a jiva, there is yours, there is a soul, is there, individual soul, super soul, and these 24 elements you are in. And the whole cosmic manifestation is made from these 24 elements. This is the knowledge. This is what exactly is the knowledge. So, and result of these interactions will give pleasure, pain, desire, and hatred. Now, these elements, already from Lord Vishnu's body, lot of universes, unlimited universes are coming out. Okay, and those unlimited universes, they're in the form of golden egg. Now those will form a material world, material universe with the intervention of Purusha and Prakriti. So Lord Shiva, that is Linga, and Mother Parvati is Yoni. So with that, so this coverings are from densification of elements. You know very well, one universe is 4 billion miles. So the universe is covered by first element, first layer, that is 40 billion miles. Earth is formed again. Next element is water is formed 40 billion, 10x, 10 times into 40 billion miles. Similarly, so gases. So this is how enveloping of the universe takes place. Mind, intelligence, and false ego. This is how the one universe, one golden egg is covered by various elements: water, fire, wind, so all these things. So everything is 10x, 10 times the other layer. So it is very difficult to penetrate these layers. So this is what exactly is the coverings. So these coverings are formed now. So now Jivas have not yet come, Lord Brahma has not yet come. So this is what exactly you can see here. It is written here, 8 million minds into 10 into 10 into 10. So can you imagine? It is beyond our conception how big is the universe. The outer coverings itself are so big. It is really very difficult to comprehend. Now, this exactly is the Bhumandala. These are the coverings. These coverings are, I'm showing you in just in 2 centimeters space, but these are not 2 centimeters space. This is very, very difficult. Okay. This is the Garbhodaka ocean. We'll discuss in the next session. And this is what I want to, at this moment, I want to, earlier also conveyed in my first session. Vamanadev, with his one leg up, he diffused these layers. These layers are diffused by this, his feet pierced these layers, and he has gone and touched the Virza river. The Virza river is converted into Mother Ganga. You can see here, Mother Ganga. And Mother Ganga from the Virza river transformed into Mother Ganga, and from the pole star, it is coming to the top planet, and from top planet to this the celestial world, celestial realms, that is Svargaloka, and from the Svargaloka, Meru Parvata, to this Meru Parvata, and to this is Jambudvipa. You can see Jambudvipa, and Lord Shiva is holding. You can see here the water is coming, is holding, and it is definitely, and it is coming to Varanasi. You can see here people are bathing and getting purified. So I want to just convey this one. Next, one more thing here. I would like to explain about the pralaya. So how it is created, I explain, and how our body is also dissolved. We should know. Everybody knows there are 7 chakras in our body. Muladhara chakra, it is at the tip of the backbone, and the Svatisthana, it is between the anus and the genitals, and the Manipura. So this is near the stomach. Anahata, so near the chest. Visuddhi, throat, and Agnya chakra, Agnya chakra is on the forehead, and Sahasra chakra is in the this is the Brahmarandra. It is on the Shika is the Shika region. So let us see all the chakras here. First thing is when somebody is about to die. So first is earth element will be dissolved. See here, just have a look at the base. Muladhara chakra, concentrate on the Muladhara chakra. So I'm showing another slide here. You can see Muladhara chakra become black. So earth element is dissolved. So earth element is dissolved. If you see the legs and all these things, earth element will be there. The reproductive region, water will be there. And in the stomach region, fire, digestive fire will be there. So earth, water, fire. Next, in the chest region, what will be there? Air will be there because you will be breathing. Okay. And in the other region is mind. Mind will. So that means in the body, there is earth, water, fire, air, either. Again, I repeat. So if you see, for example, legs and all, it is a earth element. If you see the reproductive organ, there will be water. And if you see the stomach, there will be a fire. And if you see the chest, there is a air. And if you see the manas, brain, there is a, you can feel either. So first of all, during death, what happens? earth element will be Muladhara chakra will be dissolved. Next is Swadhisthana chakra. Swadhisthana chakra is what element? So Swadhisthana chakra, next is water element. So water element is dissolved. You can see here water element is dissolved. That means earth element, when earth element combines with water, what happens? It becomes water only. So now this water element when combines with fire, so you can see Manipura chakra, fire. So fire, what will do? Fire will evaporate the water. Fire will evaporate the water. Now when fire evaporates the water, what will be there? Air, it will become air. So air element will be dissolved now. Now air element will merge into ether and all the gunas and everything. So this is how pralaya takes place to the body. So during these things, what happens? That is the reason why during death, for example, when Muladhara chakra is gone, your toes, your legs and everything becomes cold. That is the reason. So while these chakras are withdrawing, there are different symptoms are there that we can discuss later. So similarly, during death also, there are the soul. Somebody asked actually, what is the dimension of the soul? I explained earlier in the last session. The dimension of the soul is 1 by 10,000 tip of the hair actually. So it is in the heart region, and the soul is surrounded by 5 types of satellites. That is Udana, Samana, Vyana, Apana, and Prana. So first 21 minutes. So what happens within 21 minutes, the Samana Vayu will exit. So this is the Samana Vayu. You can see here. Samana Vayu will exit. The Samana Vayu is in the middle region. So, and next is 48 to 64 minutes, Prana will exit. Prana will exit. This is the time where if you want to come back, you can come back. If you have that art of, okay, you can come back. That's the reason why even doctors also make an attempt to revive. One can revive the person back to life. So next is Udana Vayu, 6 to 12 hours. Once the Udana Vayu left and life cannot be revived. So you can see there is a prana. So prana is between eyes and chest, heart. Okay. And Udana is throat region, up, it goes up. Okay. And Apana is down, downwards it acts actually. So, and Vyana, it goes to legs and hands. You can see legs and hands, you can see clearly. So like this. So this is how Apana Vayu is 8 to 18 hours. So, and Vyana is 14 days also. So this is the process of quitting the body. There is a pralaya. So why I'm showing all these slides, the reason is how the earth element is dissolved and into water, into water, and further into air, and into air, after that into space, etc. So this is the process of dissolution. Similarly, when one takes the birth, first Muladhara chakra will be formed. Then different chakras will be formed. That means first earth element, next water element, air element, fire element. So this is how the formation of the body also. Now, lastly, pralaya of the universe. During the cosmic annihilation, what happens? The 11 Rudras will be dancing. Okay, will be dancing, and they'll be with a lot of rage, so with anger, and from it will be the whole earth is flooded with water. So firstly, the earth is dissolved in water. So earth is dissolved in water. There won't be any earth now. All mountains, everything will be dissolved. Now water is there. Now from the Adisheshas, I told you already, the earth, the whole Bhumandala is held by Adishesha. From his he emanate a lot of fire. So that fire will be evaporating all the water. So then it converts into air. Air will merge into Akasha. Then all the gunas, again it converts into Mahatattva. Mahatattva again merges into Pradhan. So everything goes into Mahavishnu's body. This is the pralaya. So this is how the cosmic annihilation takes place. So the body pralaya also, how it takes place, cosmic annihilation, how it takes place, you have seen. And how the creation is done up to now, you got the Anda, so the universe, and the universe is covered by different layers you have seen today. So in the next session, I'm going to come up with how this universe, different planetary systems, and have been created, and other things will be discussed in the next session. Now I open the session for discussion. This ends the session.
Okay, thank. Yeah, thank you so much, Rajnikant Garu. If you can just turn off your slides, perhaps we can and switch on your video as well, so we can start having some questions. Um, Sorry, just a minute. I think I need to turn off. Yeah, sorry. Am I audible now? I guess I am audible. I would like to invite participants to ask any questions so that we can have a nice enriching session now of finding out. I think we have one question here. Mohan says, my audio has issues. Could you explain about karma and if our actions living actions or living is as per karma? Why do we need to worry? Yeah, so I think the question is about if our actions are explainable through concept of karma, why do we need to worry? That's the question. Rajnikant Garu, are you there? Kindly unmute yourself.
Sir, sorry, Andy, it got disconnected. I got connected. Could you tell me the question, please? Could you repeat the question, sir?
Yeah. So the question was, if I think the way I understand is, if our actions and our living is can be explained as per the concept of karma, why do we have to worry?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. I'm getting some disturbance, sir.
Okay, I think your bandwidth is a little low.
Now it's fine, sir. It's
Yeah,
fine
yeah.
now. Could you please tell the question?
So the question is, you can read it in the chat as well. So it's from Mohan. It's in the chat, and he says he asks if our actions
Mahadab.
and our living is as per the concept of karma. If we really understand it well enough, why
Yeah.
do we then still have to worry? Is the question.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a free will. There is a concept of free will. So now you can use the free will, or you can misutilize the free will. You can work for your senses, or you can satisfy the senses of the Almighty. You have the free will. The living entity has been given free will, so to act as per his will. So he can surrender, or he can, the other way.
Okay. All right. Before I receive any more questions, kindly raise your hand so I know that if anybody has a question. I have one question, Rajnikant Garu, which is about Vyana Vayu. And Vyana Vayu can take up to 14 days to leave the body, leave. I'm assuming that Vyana Vayu still exists even after the Dahana Samskara is over, when the physical Sharira has been burnt away into ashes. So I'm assuming that the Vyana Vayu still is present up to 14 days. And if so, where is it present?
You are right, sir. The problem is here, it depends on the soul also. If he's a pious soul, and it depends, that these Vayus and all, it depends on the soul. It depends on our activities also. It's not exactly they are programmed that way.
So just as we understand,
For example,
yes.
Yeah. For example, generally within 48 days, so the consciousness in the womb of the mother, the child gets the consciousness. If he gets after 48 days, he's going to become a great soul, definitely. So there are some exceptions. Like for example, with the pious soul, for example, one is very dedicated and a devotee and all. He is performing some bhakti yoga or any other yoga. Okay. And generally his body is not burnt. Why? His body is generally, so in the ritual, funeral rites, his body is not burnt. It is preserved. So it varies actually.
Okay, so let's hear if anybody else has any questions. Kindly.
Hello?
Yes, who is
Am I
that?
audible, sir?
Yes, Sharath Garu. Yes, go ahead.
My name is Sharath Tarvarti.
Yes,
Hello?
Yes, yes, please go ahead. You're audible.
Sir, yes, sir. Please.
Yeah, can I have Sir Ramanuj, what is his name? Ramanujan Garu, right?
Rajnikant Garu.
Rajnikant
Yeah,
Garu. Rajnikant Garu.
Yeah.
So I heard your complete explanation and I clearly understood that it is Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah.
Am I right? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Philosophy,
Is it?
sir,
It is a Gaudiya
I can
Vaishnava
say
philosophy.
it is not Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. It is the philosophy. See, it is absolute truth actually. Whoever has conveyed whatever name we give, it is a philosophy basically, and it is absolute truth.
It is absolute truth. Even I vote for it because I do believe in it.
Yeah.
I'm a strict follower of this philosophy since 2014. So I really appreciate the work which you have done. And I
Goloka and everything is explained.
yeah, I know. See, it is completely a Vaishnava philosophy, and it is completely.
For example, for example, in Saririka Bhashya, it is explained up to Sadasiva Loka only. So it all depends on the acharyas. They disclose. For example, if you see the Hanuman, he always worships Lord Rama only. Even he knows that the ultimate is Lord Krishna. He worships only Lord Rama because that is his mood basically. For example,
Yeah,
a small child is there.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand that the Goloka is the ultimate Loka, which is
Right,
prevailing in
right.
this universe. And there are three Vishnus which are prevailing: Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu, and Karanodaka Sai
And
Vishnu.
Karnodaka Sai Vishnu.
Yeah,
Right,
I
sir,
understand that. The same philosophy has been followed by me since 2014, and I'm strict follower of Hare Krishna. So
Okay.
Yes,
I
sir,
really got
yes.
mesmerized by the explanation which you have given because my thought process goes in the same line.
Very nice.
Right,
So
sir, you are
nice,
right.
nice
You
to
are
hear
right.
that. And yes,
Right,
I
sir.
think we are in every session we do repeat that Rajnikant Garu is representing his Sampradaya, Vaishnava Sampradaya, in his explanations. Yeah.
Yeah, Rajnikant Garu, can I have a contact number of yours to be in touch with you, if you don't mind?
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Sure.
Because I believe
Yes, sir.
in
90524.
Satsangacham.
Yeah.
I believe in Bhaktala Sangacham. You understand
Sure,
what
sir.
I mean?
Okay. Sharath Garu, what I can do is I'll forward
sure, sir.
his contact to
Yes,
you.
sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Yes,
fine.
I'll do
Thank you.
that.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Okay, more questions, please. If anybody has questions, please voice out or you can put it in the chat. Okay, so before that, I have another question, Rajnikant Garu. In one slide where it says Sri Krishna there has the quadruple expansion, and further on, and towards the end of the slide is the origin of Paramatma. Now I am a little puzzled as to where Paramatma actually stands in that flow chart. My understanding has been that maybe you can actually help us understand the differences also between Parabrahma, Paramatma, and such kind of concepts. Why is it written that Sri Krishna is the name at the top, and we understand that Sri Krishna or Krishna is an avatar of Vishnu? So that is written at the top, and Paramatma as a concept is written at the bottom. It's at the way it's the fourth stage of the expansion, it looks like.
Sir, in the spiritual planets, everyone is serving the Lord and everybody is having spiritual body. There is no concept of Paramatma there. In the universe, the Karnodasai Vishnu expands into Garbhodasai Vishnu. From Garbhodasai Vishnu, Sirodasai Vishnu will be expanded, and Sirodasai Vishnu is the super soul. So the super soul will be expanded into all living entities, 84 lakh species. So the concept of Paramatma, that means the Lord is living with you, with a jiva. So because as you come from the spiritual world, there you have a spiritual body or a divine body or a transcendental body, which is permanent, which is Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. We don't need Paramatma there. They are seeing every day, they are playing with him, they are serving them, Lord. But here we are engrossed with a materialistic body, and where we are unable to see him. We are seeing, the material world, other things and all, we are not attracted to him. So being the Father, he is coming with us in the form of Paramatma. So from Sirodasai Vishnu only, all the avatars, Gunavatars, so Shakta avatars, so all different avatars are coming from Sirodasai Vishnu only. For example, you have Dashavataras are there. Dashavataras are all coming from Sirodasai Vishnu. You don't find a Kurma avatar in the Vaikuntha planet. Only Vishnu Tattva, only Vishnu, 400 Vishnu form only will be there. You don't find Matsya avatar also there. You don't have Narasimha avatar also there in the Vaikuntha Loka. So here from Sirodasai Vishnu in the individual universe, all expansions are coming, and he is the super soul. He is out of his causeless mercy and a great heart. So he is expanded and he is accompanying us, and he is also witnessing. He is the Sakshi. Okay, for all your in different lives, what you are doing is Sakshi.
Okay, very nice. Thank you. What is the difference between Parabrahman and Parabrahma and Paramatma? Can you help us?
Yeah. So actually, Parabrahma is the Supreme Lord. He is the Supreme. That is the Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu, you can say. And this Paramatma is, both are the same only, but he is out of his causeless mercy. He has come here in the universe. He has come in the universe and accompanying you. That's it. That is the only difference.
So Paramatma is an extension out of Parabrahman, and Parabrahma is the all-encompassing, omnipotent, universal, divine form.
Exactly.
All right, understand.
Exactly.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello. Sharad speaking from this side. Can I talk?
Yes, Sharad Garu. Yes,
Just
go
I would
ahead.
like to add an idea for his question, if you don't
Sharad
mind.
Garu, kindly switch on your video if you don't mind.
Well, I think there is a poor light here.
Shine. Fine. Okay. Fine. Go ahead.
Light is not good.
Go ahead.
So just see, I would like to add an idea for his question, if you don't mind.
Please.
From the small of a little bit of knowledge which I have. See,
Sure,
as we go up into the spiritual planets, at one point of time there is called as a Parabrahma Tattvam.
Brahmajyoti.
Parabrahma Tattvam is a pure light. See, even in Christianity, people say that Jesus is light, and see, Jyoti Karaka. So in Vaishnava philosophy, Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, they say that Parabrahma Tattva is a light form, pure light. There is no shape, there is no name, nothing. It is a Parabrahma Tattva. And if you go beyond that Parabrahma Tattva, in Vaishnava philosophy, they believe that there is again a cause for that light, pure light. And if you go beyond that, there is a Sadasiva Loka. And if you go beyond that, there is a form of Lord Krishna called as Ramaloka. Lord Sriram is there. And if you go beyond that, that is called as Goloka. In Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, they believe there is a belief that God has shape, form, and name. Krishna exists. It is not that it is Nirakara Swarupa. There is a Akara Swarupa. This is what they believe. So there is something beyond this pure light, which is the reason for everything in this universe. And that is called as Sri Krishna. And he is called as Sri Krishna. And he is the eternal and he is ultimate. He is residing in Golaka with Radharani. So, hello?
Yes.
Am I audible? And
yes, audible, and your point is very clear as well.
Tattva is nothing but it is a pure light, which is one of the spiritual planets. When you go up, and beyond that there is Sadasiva Loka, where Lord Shiva is residing there, and beyond that there is Ramaloka, and beyond that there is Goloka, which is ultimate. This is according to the Gaudiya Vaishnava chart.
All right, I understand. So
these are the
yes,
minute
Sarath garu,
details.
it's obviously a very interesting point for debate and discussion. I'm sure that is what the three sampradayas have been debating for a long while. Advaita, Advaita,
Sarath
and the
garu,
Visishta Advaita.
Ah, sorry.
So surely this is another as we become more
Sarath
kind of
garu, see,
Someone is calling
uh,
me. Someone is calling me.
yeah,
Hello.
yes, okay, go. So what I'm saying is, it is always an important point for discussion and debate,
Yeah.
particularly in the
Yeah.
three sampradayas. We'll come to that stage at a later time, but
Yeah.
surely one thing we need to understand is that under the umbrella of Sanatana Dharma, the expansive universal, dharma that it is, Sanatana Dharma, we are allowed to have the freedom to explore for ourselves. The spiritual journey is one's own individual path, and through that exploration itself, we can have more and more answers. So the sampradaya of debate and has to be nurtured, and wonderfully you have put across your points. Thank you.
And I have a little. I wanted to talk just a little bit of while to Mr. Rajnikant garu, if he is available.
Yeah,
Hello?
later on, once I give you
sir,
the number, you can be in touch with him. We'll give opportunity for others if they have any questions.
uh,
Okay, let me
Sharath
hear.
garu, Sharath garu, Sharath
I have
garu,
one question.
one small
Yeah.
clarification I would like to offer
Yeah.
based on your point. Actually, it's good that you have conveyed nicely. So here, Brahman is different, Parabrahman is different. Brahman is Brahmajyoti actually. So in the 10th chapter, if you see Parabrahma, Parandama in Bhagavad Gita, so Parabrahma means is the Lord Himself actually, and so Brahman means it is the light emanating from the Vaikuntha planets or the effulgence from the Lord actually. That is Brahman, which is above the Sadasivaloka. That's what I can.
Okay.
So there is a difference between Brahman and Parabrahman.
Okay.
Nice.
Thanks for clarification, because there is a little bit of confusion even from my side. And I wanted to ask you one thing. People who are following Advaita philosophy and people from Vaishnava philosophy, you people are pointing out them as Mayavadas, which I am being disappointed from a certain period of time, from few years. Why you people are pointing out like Mayavadas? Advaita philosophy is something which has revived all the Vedic culture when it is in danger in India. So Adi Shankaracharya is moola of that. So why you are telling that they are Mayavadas? Can I come to know about it? Because it is a highly debatable point when coming to the other religions.
Okay.
Hello?
All right.
So
Can I understand?
Sir, the first and foremost thing is, sir, it is first of all, everyone has to understand, have a proper conception. So everybody is having with the limited senses, they look at the world, they look at the philosophy, and they look at the different perceptions. So here, what happens initially, what happened, like there was a big violence, a lot of violence. In the name of Veda, they're killing animals completely. So, and because Vedas are prescribing animal killing once in a month, that is Amavasya, that is for the people who are tamasic. So that is how the violent was prevailed, and Lord Buddha has come and withdrawn non-violence. So he had rejected the Vedas purposefully. So, but Lord Buddha is one of the 10 incarnations actually. So he has withdrawn completely, and that's what is the propositions or postulates of Lord Buddha. Next, what happened? Now the Vedas has to be. He discarded the Vedas. Now the Vedas has to be established. So slowly, Shankaracharya, the Lord Shiva. Shankaracharya is nothing but Lord Shiva. He has come and he established the philosophy. Then what happened? Then you have to establish the higher philosophy, the next world. For example, Jesus Christ is there. He is not talking about the love of God. He is teaching you 10 commandments. So thou shall not kill, thou shall not. This is how he has given the minimum commandments. So you have to see with a proper vision. Every acharya should be properly respected. Then Madhvacharya has established, then Ramanujacharya established. This is how next Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established. So this is how, so the different things have been established. So we have to see with a proper vision. So it's not that somebody is Mayavada philosophy. There should not be any offense. Particularly, if you offend someone, it is a great aparad actually. In the good olden days, if somebody is offended, they used to vacate the even the village. So there should not
Yeah,
be any
because
aparad. There should
some of
not
the
be any.
some of the ISKCONs are insulting, Shankaracharya's philosophy, which I really got disappointed by listening to
My
them, because
understanding,
I
sir,
did
see,
follow.
my understanding is if, see, everybody is in the path of perfection. Everybody is in the path of perfection. But some, the really perfect souls, they never offend. Okay. Because they have clarity. But the students, that means they are who have half-baked knowledge. So who are not clear, I mean, they may do these things. But the knowledgeable souls who are illuminated with knowledge, they never offend, they never basically blaspheme anyone.
Okay. I think Sharat Garu's point is
Thank you.
noted, well noted. And also the response is a mature response from Rajnikant Gar, whereby he says the enlightened one doesn't actually kind of throw mud. It is possibly those with a half-baked knowledge. Sharat Garu's point is very important in the context of how we, from different streams of thought, need to converge somewhere, or at least respect one another under the umbrella of Sanatana Dharma. We can debate very aggressively, that is perfectly fine, but at the same time learn to mutually respect different viewpoints. Okay, all right, so let me hear if there are any other who have questions. As I have mentioned in the beginning, it would be rather disappointing if it is merely a passive participation instead of an active interaction. A dialogue has to happen. The learning has to come from within, from the participants. And the
I can
teacher's
represent
job,
all the participants and ask one thing.
no.
Hello.
Just let us wait for somebody else. I think we need to encourage
Hello.
the opportunity. Yes, Vasudha Garu, please go ahead.
Yeah, hello. This is Vasudha. Sir, namaste, sir. Rajnikant Garu.
Namaste, madam. Namaste, madam.
Sir, why all incarnations are only in Bharata Desham, like Bharatakandam? Why not in other parts of the country or of the world? Why only in like Shankaracharya, Gautama Buddha, if you take Ramanuja, like all the incarnations are like mostly in Bharatakandam only? Why not in other parts of the world?
Yeah, it's a good question, madam. See, the
Thank
thing,
you.
madam, like the Leelas of the Lord is going on in every universe at all time, eternal. So all Leelas are going on everywhere. Okay. So this is the first point. So in other universes also presently Ramayana may be going on. For example, in 24th Ramayana also there are some contradicting points actually in Ramayana if you observe, because in 24th the Yuga, you know, there are Lord Brahma, there is a Kalpa, there is a Manvantara. In 28th cycle, in Treta Yuga, Ramayana happened. So in 24th also it happened. That is the reason why eternally 2 times it happened, and there will be a differences actually. Similarly, Lord has chosen, it's his will. That is the first point. And second point is, it is not that only in the land of India only, Bharat Bhumi only, all the incarnations have come. It has happened everywhere. I think you have seen my first session. Dvipas are there, different dvipas are there. In every dvipa, everywhere Lord is there. For example, in Kimpurusha Varsha, so Lord Rama and Mother Sita, everybody is there. So it's not that he's incarnated in one point. He is very compassionate. He wants to take back home all the souls with his super excellent pastimes. So he shows some super, he exhibits leelas to attract the fallen souls. That is his basic theme. So by his will, he chooses a particular place. So, but one thing is, his leelas are there everywhere.
Okay, all right. Can
Hello,
you
sir.
actually, Rajnikant Garu, can you, I had this question and I've requested you as well previously. I would want a little explanation on Mahat Tattva. What exactly is Mahat Tattva?
Yeah. Sir, it is very simple, sir. Like these 24 elements, first of all, they are in the unmanifested form. That means they are in the combined form. They are not in the differentiated form. That is the first point. And now, Mahatattva is a differentiated form. They are differentiated now. Earth, water, fire, either they're differentiated. That is the only thing. Mahatattva is also, these gunas also will be there. Then those are further, Ahankara develops from that, different gunas are separated. So that is how different 24 elements are formed actually. So Pradhana is activated, then from Pradhan, Mahatattva is formed actually. So Mahatattva is the separation, it started, the separation of the elements takes place. And
Okay,
these gunas
nice.
are spreading in all the 24 elements. These
Sure.
gunas are spreading in all the 24 elements. That's why gunas are not considered in the 24.
Okay.
Hello.
All right.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Sharath Garu. Yes.
See, usually people say that Lord is Niranjana Nirakara Swarupa, but according to the Vaishnava philosophy, Lord has a shape and form. So, what is your opinion about it? Do you
That's
say
what
that
I'm saying.
it
It all
is
depends on the
Niranjana Nirakara
experience, sir.
Swarupa?
Actually, see, the Vedas will not easily show the divinity of the Lord. So the Vedas are also speaking about the Brahman also. So one is who is having the realization up to the extent of Brahman, they feel it's a Nirakara. But if somebody is having, higher realization, so definitely they understand that Lord is having the form, Satchitananda Vigraha.
Okay, but this is highly debatable point when coming to the other religions who are trying to propagate us, who are trying to, we have to defend in this point of view because they are trying to confuse the people who are not educated. And the second point from my side is that, hello?
Yeah. Sir,
So
one
I
point,
request
sir.
Mr.
See,
Rajinikanth garu.
a debate cannot transform a soul. Actually, we are in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga means 90% Tamogana will be there. You are not in, Satyuga. If Satyuga is there, naturally people will understand properly. They have right intelligence. Memory is also good. And we can't transform a hippie into happy actually because their rules, the knowledge is different. Definitely, they have a reservoir and they'll be stubborn with the ego actually, and they may not accept it. So, and we can't expect that others will transform or immediately and they'll accept. The thing is, in Bhagavad Gita itself, it is conveyed. So, who are the 4 people who will surrender and who don't surrender also? 4 people who don't surrender also. It's
Yeah.
clearly
Artho
said.
Jignasi.
Based on your pious
Artho
credit
Jignasi.
only, for example, in your last life, if in your last life, 11% you have completed, this life 12% you start. So it doesn't mean for example, somebody is born with all the knowledge, with all the skills. How it happened? Because he has already accumulated. If somebody is born in an aristocratic family, so because he has done the pious study, that's why he's born in an aristocratic family. You cannot be envious and jealous.
Yeah. I respect that. I understand which you have told me. There are 4 types of people in Bhagavad
Right,
Gita which has been quoted that Artho Jignaso Ardharthi Gnani Cha Bhartarshava. So
Yes,
these are the 4
7th
types
chapter.
of people. I
7th
understand.
chapter.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And I have a final question from my
Right.
side. It is not a question, it is a request from my side. As you rightly quoted that we are
Yes.
living in Kali Yuga right now. So the only thing
Right.
which can protect us is a Nama Japa. So Harinama Japa is the only point which you could prevent ourselves. And which this is even in Bhagavad Gita it has been quoted clearly that Yajnanam Japa Yagnosmi. Yajnanam Japa Yagnosmi. So we have to do Nama Japam. So Harinama Japa. So can you please participate in the revolution of Harinam Japam with me? Because I am trying to do serious pracharam about Harinam Japam. So what is your opinion about it?
Sir, in Satyuga, the Yuga Dharma was Ashtanga Yoga. So Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pratyahara, Pranayama. So Jnana, Dharana, Samadhi. In Treta Yuga, it was Yajnas. In Dwapara Yuga, it was Vigraharadhana. And Kali Yuga, it is Nama Japa. The reason is the complete essence of Samaveda, is nothing but Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which you are following actually. That is more than enough to perfect. And one one more thing.
Yeah, it has been said rightly that
Actually, the first element is
Okay, Sharad Garu, let him
One second,
complete his answer, please.
yeah.
so the second thing is the Sri Sampradaya, they follow Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Panchakshari mantra, actually. So different gurus, every mantra has a potency, actually. So different gurus will give different mantras. So if you practice that mantra, there will be a revelation of the Swarupa Siddhi, actually. So that depends on the Sampradaya, one is connected, actually. So one,
Yeah,
if one practices that mantra given by, initiated by the Guru, actually, Diksha Guru, and definitely the self-revelation takes place. And one more thing is, if you see the how the world is created, the universe is created is by sound only. Ultimately, everything matches in the sound, actually. It's sound only. So the sound is very, very important here. So in particularly in the Kali Yuga, so only Nama Sankirtan is recommended, 100%. Yeah. There is no other, for example, Vigraharadhana or the worship, like for example, like Yajnas, this will not give any result in Kali Yuga. There is no doubt at all.
That is what I told you. You told rightly. It is Krutaya Dhyayata Vishnu Tretayam Etemakai Dwapre Paricharyayam Kalautat Harkirtanat. So this is what which you have told. I told in sloka form. And the second thing is that see, instead of making people making them understand that you can chant any mantra, why don't we completely bring them a light of Kalisantarana Upanishad? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Iti Shodash Namnam Kalikalmasnasnam. Natah Paratropaya Sarvavedeshu Drusyate. So why don't we emphasize on this? Only this mantra.
Okay, Sharad Garu, I understand your enthusiasm.
Hare Nama Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva Gatiranyada. So Hare Nama Kevalam. That means 3 times in Vedas, if 3 times anything is conveyed, it is very, very serious. So in this particularly, Hare Nama Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva Gatiranyada. Yeah,
okay,
3 times
I understand the enthusiasm. I understand the enthusiasm about Harinama Sankirtana, which is very much important. We appreciate the importance of Nama Sankirtanam.
No, that is the only thing which
evolve, may I humbly suggest, let it evolve in each individual soul naturally, because one of the problems we are fighting against is the imposition of the religious beliefs, especially of the Western religions. We need to understand.
No, it doesn't happen. Sir, it doesn't happen naturally. It doesn't happen.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Sir, that's natural gavadu, sir. Natural gavadu. We have to force them. We have to tell them clearly that this is the only way.
Let me finish, please. That is. We respect your viewpoint.
I request you to meet me. I request you to meet me. We'll discuss.
Yeah,
I am at Hyderabad. I am at Hyderabad, sir.
We'll talk our phones.
Can you kindly allow me to speak, please? We respect your viewpoint, and similarly, as we have already established, one of the key things we have to do is, first of all, a learning has to happen. It is your responsibility to convince people about the importance of Nama Sankirtanam. It can't be said in a forceful fashion that this is how it has to be done. The job of a teacher is to convince in a reasonable way. How the students have to respond is then left it to them. All right. So let us all work on that individually. You may have your philosophy. Your job is to convince us as to why it is important to follow that philosophy. I may have a different philosophy. It is my job to ensure that people understand what I am talking about. Sometimes we may agree to disagree. We have to allow that also. If I don't appreciate your path and I'm going to not attain moksha, that is my problem then, isn't it? But at least your job is done properly of teaching. Okay, we have one more question here. Vasudha Garu, I think we'll end with this question. Let it not become a chaotic session, if it's okay.
Yeah.
When did the creation happen and why at all it happened? How did it happen? I know this is a huge topic. There are so many thoughts like Big Bang, etc. Just want to know your thoughts. One more, God created us. we don't ask him why God wants us to do his japam. Interesting point. So there are two questions here.
Yeah.
Why did creation
Yes.
happen at all in the first place? Okay. And how did it happen? Second question
Yeah.
is, God created us, fair enough. We don't ask him, why
In
does God expect us to do his japam? Why? And
Mhm.
I think in a
Yeah.
way, is
Yeah.
God a little self preoccupied that he, unless somebody praises him, he doesn't really get pleased. I think that's what the point is here. It's a
Yeah.
fair point, actually.
When the yeah when the soul out of misutilizes the free will, then he lost the position as the eternal servitor in the spiritual planet, and he falls down to the material world. That is the first point. So when he falls down, the Lord is so compassionate because many children, so they misuse the free will and they're suffering. How they're suffering? Birth, death, old age, disease. And I made it very clear, there is a pralaya for this body, there is a pralaya for this universe. So out of his causeless mercy, he wants to give a chance again, okay, so that he has given Vedas to follow, to understand him. He has given different Upanishads, he has given different Samhitas. So he has given his Naam, okay, you get connected. So through that Naam, one can get connected to him. So for example, you are making a call. So within seconds, you are connected to in US or UK or anywhere. So similarly, with the Naam, so you can connect to the Lord, and that will purify you. It will enable you, because the whole human system is constituted differently. I conveyed the chakras and the different subtle airs and the soul and everything. So then with a purified vision, if you look at, then you will understand so that you are the eternal servitor. So he is giving a chance for the jiva to come back home. So that is his compassion out of his mercy. This soul is suffering millions of births. He's just, one branch to another branch, he's swinging. One species to another species, he's just, transmigrating. So let me give a chance. So that is his causeless mercy. So which you have to acknowledge our gratitude to him. So if for example, if you lose our children, if he is lost somewhere, how we feel? There's a lot of internal suffering, actually. The same thing. So he wants to give a chance to the souls to come back home.
Okay. So it's surely, I can definitely see the Vaishnava way of explanation there. Surely another explanation could be that it is ultimately for us to realize Japam, as you rightly said initially, if from a scientific perspective, sound is what has created, perhaps the
Everything.
right kind of sound that we utter may actually cleanse us as well. It may have a effect, a spiritual effect altogether. So if Harinama Japam is supposed to be a code for the creative sound, maybe the utterance of it, uttering it, possibly helps us, cleanse ourselves. So it could be interpreted very differently as well. Okay, I think time is up. We will draw this to a close. One word of general message generally I want to convey to everybody is that let us use this as an opportunity for a mutual learning and a healthy way. Surely we are not here to brainwash everybody. I will be against that. And um, I think importantly, what we are trying to do is presenting um, knowledge understandable in a way that we appreciate the viewpoint of the speaker, and there could be points of debate. We will appreciate the differences and maturely deal with it and handle, discuss them. So we have Visishta Advaita, we have Advaita philosophy, we have Advaita philosophy. Hopefully one day we can, I also said it in previous webinar when we conducted Visishta Advaita by Sri Sheshagiri from Singapore. So we said that hopefully one day we also have a Dvaita, a person who is an expert in Dvaita philosophy, also come on stage and present their viewpoint. So let us learn as much as we can. Okay, all right. Any closing remarks, Rajnikant Garu?
Yeah, lastly, the thing is like, for example, from an automobile, you have a lot of gases. Like similarly, when you do yajna, there is also a gases. Okay, there is a difference. One gives a purifying effect, the others use so disharmony. So similarly, so the sounds. So we are speaking of the material sounds. It gives the poisonous effect, and the spiritual sounds will give a purifying effect.
Very much so. I
So
agree.
thank
I
you, sir.
agree with
Like
that. Yes.
so lastly, I acknowledge my sincere gratitude to Sri Malladi Shastri Garu, like for painstaking efforts in bringing everyone to this platform and engaging them for the spiritual welfare. Thanks a lot.
Thank you also. Mutual respect to you as well, Rajnikant Garu. This time the slides were fantastic, and I was so happy to see the marked progress that we are seeing one session after the other. The slides were really amazing. So much information yet again, so much jnana. I definitely listen to them while I'm driving my car. So hope everybody else also does that. Thank you. We will meet up again perhaps in another 2 weeks time. See you until then. And as I've also mentioned in the chat, those who are interested in knowing more about webinars conducted by us, please be in touch with me. I'll put my mobile number there. Kindly make a note of it and message me so we can put you in the contact list. All right. Thank you. Take care. Namaste to all.
Thank you, sir. Namaste.
Right.
Thank you.